Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. I found a new quote, new to me, about the 144,000, and I collect quotes about the 144,000. The 144,000 is one of these doctrines that we don't have a lot of information about, and there's just endless speculation about who they are, what their purpose is. And so I like to tie things down, not to my own interpretation of scriptures, but to what the prophets and apostles and general authorities have said about these different scriptures. And so with the 144,000, there's not a whole lot that has been said, but I'll show you what, like, some of the key things that I have, plus this new quote. So I was looking at this book called The Gospel Kingdom, Selections from the Writings and Discourses of John Taylor. John Taylor was the third president of the church. In case you're new to the church, he was the third after Brigham Young. And this is found. So I don't like to go to I like these books because they help you find, really interesting things that presidents of the church and apostles have said, because they're like compilations of, there's like excerpts from different discourses that in talks that they gave. So it's helpful, but I like to go to the original source. So in this case, we're going to the Times and Seasons. This is during the Nauvoo period, as you can see right here, city of Nauvoo, February 15th, 1845. And it's the first article of this issue called The Living God, and it's by John Taylor. There's a couple interesting things in here, but I'm just going to focus on this quote that I found. Okay. And it's on this page right here, starting right here. Okay. Without going into the full investigation of the history and excellency of God, the Father, and our Lord Jesus Christ in this article, let us reflect that Jesus Christ, as Lord of Lords and King of Kings, must have a noble race in the heavens or upon the earth, or else he can never be as great in power, dominion, might, and authority as the scriptures declare. But here the mystery is solved. John says, and he gives the scriptural reference in the book of Revelation, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000. So, of course, this is talking about the second coming when Christ comes to the Jews in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. Their father's name, bless me, that is God. Well done for Mormonism, 144,000 gods." And this is the part that I want to highlight right here, gods. I've heard all sorts of theories about the 144,000, that they're mortals, that they're going to do like these kind of like super missions while the world is engaged in World War III. It's going to happen before the second coming, that we have to wait for the 10 lost tribes as a main body to come from wherever their hiding place is. And then after that has all been completed, then the second coming can happen. The 10 lost tribes is a whole nother thing. Go to my spreadsheet called Quotes, 10 Lost Tribes. I do not believe that there is a main hidden group somewhere. I think they're scattered throughout the world, primarily north of Israel. So like in Europe and Russia and places like that. There was definitely a main body at the time of Christ after he visited the Nephites, but I don't think they survived as a main body. They don't know who they are at this point, but that's another topic for another time. So right here, this is now the second quote that I have talking about the fact that they're not mortals, they're gods. So at this point, let's go to my spreadsheet. So I have this in a few different places if you want to refer to this again. If you want to refer back to what I have for the 144,000. I'm going to read from this spreadsheet. This is Quotes, Common Misconceptions. The link to my spreadsheets is in the description box of each video. So I have it here. I have two misconceptions about the 144,000. The first one being that we haven't seen them yet. And then the second one, that they're mortals. Okay. But you can also find it on my quotes A through Z. I just added it. I don't know why I didn't put it on here before, but you can find it on quotes A through Z. Currently on row 5 for 144,000. And then I also have a spreadsheet for numbers, like significant numbers from the scriptures. And so 144,000. And I have it right here. Okay. You can also, if you don't want to access my spreadsheets, because I know not everybody is a fan of like spreadsheets and doing stuff like that. I'm trying to make it a little bit more accessible, especially through Instagram. Instagram has these story highlights right here where I'm collecting a lot of the key quotes that have to do with these different topics. I don't have one yet for the 144,000, but so far I have Adam on Diamond and Millennium, and I'm just going to keep adding on to this over time. So follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, but I'm doing a lot more with Instagram these days. Okay, so they are gods. We find that one other place. So we just read from, at the time, Elder John Taylor of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles back in 1845. But then we have this quote from Elder Bruce R. McConkie. This is from his book called Mormon Doctrine, 2nd edition, 1966, page 546. 144,000. And then it says, see other parts of the book. And then at his second coming, quote, the Lamb shall stand upon Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written on their foreheads. These 144,000 are gods, as the name on their foreheads specifies. Their callings and elections have been made sure. They are exalted personages. So if you are exalted, that means that you are now resurrected. You're done with mortality. You've achieved exaltation. You can't do that in mortality. You can have your calling and election made sure, and that ensures you that you will have exaltation after this life, after you pass away, or if it's in the millennium, once you are changed in the twinkling of an eye from mortality to immortality. So, but they're exalted. They're resurrected. Okay. So this is just what John Taylor said from the quote that we just read. They are exalted personages. They are redeemed from among men, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. Revelation 14, 4-5. They have attained perfection. Excuse me. Some people will point to, well, they're virgins. I'm not going to go to the sources again. I've done it a million times over, but the word virgins in this sense means that they're chaste. They're pure. They're sexually pure. It's not that they haven't done that before. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but you can pause and you can read. And then he reiterates at the end, and therefore they are exalted beings. They're part of the church of the firstborn. So this is really interesting because now I have two quotes confirming the fact that that's what they are. They're resurrected beings. They're not mortals. And then just for anybody that's new, that hasn't seen my other videos about the 144,000, we're going to take a look really quick at a few of the key quotes, having to do with the misconception that we haven't seen them yet, which may be confusing to you because you're like, well, didn't you just say that they're resurrected beings? So we haven't seen that yet, right? We haven't gotten to the point where Christ has come to the Mount of Olives. We haven't seen them. Well, just look at this. Okay. Consider this. Okay. So, this is my oldest quote having to do with the 144,000. You can find this on the Joseph Smith Papers website, which is a collection of primary sources, which is really where you should go when you're researching things. You should go to the primary source. So this is from the 2nd of May, 1835. Okay. If the first 70, so this is like when they're talking about the priesthood office of the 70. Okay. This is like a new concept, a new thing in this dispensation. It's only 1835, just 5 years after the church was established. If the first 70 are all employed and there is a call for more laborers in the vineyard, it will be the duty of the 7 presidents of the first 70 to call and ordain other 70 and send them forth to labor until, if need be, they set apart 7 times 70, and even until there are 144,000, thus set apart to the ministry. The 70 are not to attend the conferences of the 12 unless they are called upon or requested so to do by the 12. So this is possibly a little hint of who the 144,000 are. It could be people that were general authorities, like 70 or above, possibly from the time of Joseph Smith, the early church, maybe even up until now. But there's more. Just hold on. We're going to go to this one. Now, this is February 4th, 1844. And this is actually just a year before the John Taylor quote that we just read. Okay. So this can also be found in the Joseph Smith papers, or you can go to History of the Church. I don't know what volume. I don't have that reference here, but this is manuscript for History of the Church. There's 7 volumes. Okay. Sunday the 4th. I attended prayer meeting with the quorum in the assembly room and made some remarks respecting the 144,000 mentioned by John the Revelator, showing that the selection of persons to form that number had already commenced. So we have seen it. That's the misconception. We haven't seen it yet. Yes, we have. According to Joseph Smith, yes. The selection already began all the way back when Joseph Smith was still alive. So, yes, we have seen it. We have. We also have this interesting anecdote. I believe this, this is more of just like I said, an anecdote, but you can find this on BYU's Scholars Archive. Here's the link right here. This is from a paper written by Darrell Wesley Judd about his ancestor, Zadok Knapp Judd, soldier, colonizer, missionary to the Lamanites, theses, I don't know, and dissertations. I never got that far in college, okay? Jeez. Okay, difficult as it was for Zadok's mother to provide food for her family, she never forgot about their spiritual welfare. To help promote their religious growth, she took Zadok and the other boys to the patriarch, Joseph Smith Sr., and each received a blessing. Because of their poor financial condition, they did not pay for the blessing to be recorded, and the boys never received copies of them. It was an important experience for them, however, and 12-year-old Zadok remembered the occasion and some of the promises throughout his life. He said, quote, "He told me my name was recorded in the Lamb's Book of Life, and angels had charge to watch over me continually, and that I was one of the 144,000 that should stand as saviors upon Mount Zion in the latter days." Okay, so we do know that Zadok Knapp Judd is now dead. Otherwise, we have a world record on our hands. Well, no, we don't, because we have the 3 Nephites in John the Revelator and possibly others that we don't know about. But he'd be up there. He'd probably be at least in the top 10, if not the top 5. Okay, so we have that interesting story. And of course, as long as he lived a righteous life, and I'm sure that he did, he'll be resurrected if he's not already. And it sounds like he's going to be one of the 144,000. And by the way, if you're wondering if the 144,000 is a symbolic number, I don't believe so. I think it actually is literal. Of all people, I would more tend to believe that it's symbolic, but from everything that I've put together, it does seem like it's an actual number. It is 144,000. So that's where I stand, and that's what it seems to be. Okay, now, in the book of Revelation, I'm not going to read it right now, but let's see. I think I have the reference right here. Dang it. I thought I had this all prepared. Yeah, here we go. So if you want to pause, go to Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 4, where it says that the 144,000 have to be sealed in their foreheads first before the angels. There's 4 angels that are waiting to be released to bring down destruction and calamities and judgment upon the earth. So 144,000 first, and then the angels. So Wilford Woodruff spoke about this, that the angels were released on the day of the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple, April 6th, 1893. But the clearest reading of it is right here. There's a few other statements by Joseph Fielding Smith, but the clearest one is right here. And this is actually found in the Doctrine and Covenants Student Manual, published in 2001, page 191. President Joseph Fielding Smith, who was present when President Woodruff talked about these angels at the dedication of the Salt Lake Temple, recorded the following. One day while I was sitting in the presence of my father, President Joseph F. Smith, back about 1908 or 9, somewhere in there, I called attention to these statements of President Woodruff, and I said I would like to go over the records from the time of the dedication of the temple up until now, and see what we can find in regard to calamities, destructions, plagues, and he encouraged me to do it, and so I did. So I went over the newspapers and over the magazines and jotted down year by year the destructions, the commotions among men, everything in the nature of a calamity, and to my great astonishment, each year they increased. And they have been increasing ever since I quit making that record. And by the way, don't worry, President Smith, because I've picked it up starting in 2021 when I started my channel. I have my spreadsheets, and they are still increasing. They are. All right, he continues. I was greatly astonished by it, and when I called the attention of one of my neighbors to it, he almost got angry at me. And he said, "Oh, well, we have got better facilities now for discovering these things. I don't believe it." And he is a member of the church too, but seemed to lack faith in these predictions. So you can read the other accounts, the other times that Joseph Fielding Smith and Wilford Woodruff himself talked about the angels being released. So the whole point is 144,000 first, and then angels released. And the angels were released April 6th, 1893. All right, so that is pretty much it. If you have more quotes about the 144,000, send them my way, and I'll add them to the spreadsheet. I don't exclude things. I don't. For example, let's just take a quick look at my 10 Lost Tribes spreadsheet. We have quotes here. I need to go through here and format some of this. I'm trying to get everything over to this format where I have everything in the same cell, but it's going to take months, if not years. Anyway, so what I do when there's conflicting statements on a particular doctrine, I just put them in timeline order. That's it. I just put them in timeline order. I don't sit as a judge of like what is whose opinion, because I'm not in a position to do that. But I do think that it's sound to think that whatever is being put forth recently is probably the clearest understanding that we currently have, because in Isaiah, he talks about the fact that when we receive knowledge, whether it's individually or as a church or a world, probably, that the Lord reveals things line upon line, precept upon precept. Things get clearer over time. We receive more revelation with the passage of time. So anyway, here's my spreadsheet for that. I put it on a timeline, and then I color code it. If it's red or pink, then it's against the idea that there's a hidden group anywhere. It doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter how many. Against the idea that there's a hidden group of the 10 Lost Tribes. And then when you go back in time, starting in 1967 and going backwards, then you have statements that are like, yeah, there is a hidden group and whatever. There's actually a bunch of these in column D where it says those now living will see it. And there are not people living now for some of these. There's no way. For example, this one here, 1875 by Elder Orson Pratt. So either he was just flat out wrong, that there would be people alive to see it, or there were people alive to see it, but it wasn't a main group like what he thought. There were people that were alive to see people come in from the other tribes, and we do have other tribes. And I know that, oh my gosh, this is becoming a 10 Lost Tribes video. Let me just show you this really quick. I know that just from life experience, but let's see. Where is it? My drive, Christian Homestead. Which tribe are you from? So I have this spreadsheet. It's, you know, it's in the cloud on Google Drive, and I'll put a link for it in the description box below in case you haven't done this yet. But it's anonymous, and it asks, what tribe are you from? It has all the tribes. It also has just Joseph, and it also has Abraham, because there are some people that say that in their patriarchal blessing, their lineage is only declared through Abraham and not through one of the sons of Israel. And for some people, it's just Joseph. It doesn't say whether it's they're descended through Ephraim or Manasseh. So don't ask me why. I have no information about that. But here it is. Most are from Ephraim out of the 1,477 responses I've gotten so far. The vast majority are from Ephraim. And then the next biggest is Manasseh. But we do have, at this point, with this sampling that I've done, we do have all the tribes. We have them all. So they are here. So there are people that have lived, I'm sure, to see that from the time that Orson Pratt said that. So anyway, okay, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.